Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufus Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So once you join in, kindly say hi on the live comment section, and these will confirm that everything is working just fine. So today, we'll be talking about trading the USD pairs ahead of the speech by Jerome Powell, which will be happening later this evening. And once we cover that, we will be covering the top market events in the markets this week. Remember, today is the last day of the quarter, so we'll be entering into a new quarter tomorrow. It's a brand new week, and of course, we'll be having the non-farm payrolls on Friday. So good morning, Jason. Good morning, Violet, as well as Waridi. Thank you guys for joining. Morning, David Kizuka. So let's get started with the economic calendar. So as you can see on the calendar, this morning we had quite a number of news announcements, mostly from the Asian session. So from preliminary industrial production in Japan, which came in worse than expected, down 3.3%. Retail sales surprisingly high at 2.8%. Then we had the ANZ Business Confidence Survey, which came in better than expected. Then we had the manufacturing PMI from China. This one showed that the industry is still in contraction zone below 50, and there was a slight improvement from 49.1 up to 49.8, which was better than expected. So as for the services PMI, they are still in expansion territory, but there is a slight slowdown from 50.3 down to 50.0. So going forward, for the rest of the day, you'll be looking forward to German preliminary CPI month over month. Then later on, we'll be looking at a speech from Fed Chair Jerome Powell at 8:55 p.m. So during the speech, he will be participating in a moderated discussion titled "A View from the Federal Reserve Board" at the National Association for Business Economics annual meeting in Nashville. Audience questions will be expected, so we always love those events where there is audience questions, because the responses to those questions can sometimes cause some much needed volatility in the markets. And this is no exemption, so we'll be expecting to see some good activity in the dollar at around 8:55 p.m. So for the rest of the week, there will be a bank holiday in China tomorrow. So remember, Chinese stocks opened strongly. They have been the top trending asset over the last 1 week. So having made some double-digit growth last week, this week they opened quite strongly, and we have seen the bull market continuing. So we'll get the CPI flash estimates for the Eurozone. Clearly, we're expecting inflation to have dropped to 1.9%, whereas for core inflation, we're expecting that to have dropped to 2.7%. So we'll be having ISM manufacturing PMI as well as job openings. This is on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Then we'll be having the ADP non-farm payrolls at 3:50 on Wednesday. Crude oil inventories from the US at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we'll be looking at the Swiss CPI, or Switzerland measure of inflation. This will be at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday. We'll be looking at the unemployment claims, final services PMI for the US. This is on Thursday. And of course, the most important event of the week will be the US non-farm payrolls, which will be coming out on Friday at 3:30 p.m. So having seen those highlights for the week, I think we can move on to the top highlights. So from Reuters, if you look at the top story right now, one, Japan's incoming Prime Minister Ishiba calls for general election on October 27. So clearly, Japan will be entering an political environment. We could be seeing some impact from the markets from there. For instance, you can see that the Nikkei this morning is already down 4.8%, almost 5% drop. So among other highlights, So we have seen the one of incoming PM Ishiba setting the election for 27th. Chinese stocks are set for the best month in nearly a decade on stimulus cheer. So this is worth looking into this week. The UK economy grew slower than expected at 0.5% in quarter two. This was data that came in earlier this morning, so also worth a check. Fed's Powell set to speak as economists fret about a policy mistake and election risk. So this will be a big event for US dollar traders today. So I just want to give you a highlight of this. So a mistake by the US Central Bank in setting interest rates during the last phase of its inflation battle is the main risk that could undercut the economy over the next year. According to a new survey of economists released as Federal Reserve Jerome Powell was set to speak on Monday. So among the 32 professional forecasters surveyed recently by the National Association for Business Economics, 39% cited a monetary policy mistake as the greatest downside risk to the US economy over the next 12 months. By contrast, 23% regarded the outcome of the November 5 US election as the biggest downside risk, and the same number cited an intensification of the conflicts in Ukraine as well as in the Middle East. So clearly, we are bound to see whether Fed cutting rates by 50 basis points was a mistake, whether it was too late to start cutting, or whether the US banking system will survive this. So a lot more volatility is expected during Jerome Powell's speech later this afternoon. So among other highlights in the market is one, China manufacturing shrinks. It's continuing to shrink, and that's a big worry, especially even for oil traders. German import prices rise the least in 3 months, so this is good. UK GDP growth revised slightly down to 0.5%. European markets set for muted open. We don't expect much activity from European equity indices. China stocks extend historically after PMI, so quite a headline, especially considering what's happening with Chinese equities. We'll be checking on that later. So oil gains on rising Middle East tensions. This has been expected. Of course, China official services PMI comes in below forecasts. So with that being the highlights in the markets today, I think it's time we do some technical analysis and try to understand where the markets might be headed next. So clearly, USD Swiss franc is still trading in a range, moving sideways, and now it just bounced from the lower trend line. So we are getting quite a nice bounce. So potentially we could be seeing the market going for Friday's high. So this was the highest price on Friday. So we could be seeing a reversal towards that direction as the market picks up volatility for the week. So from the 4-hour chart, this is how it looks like. So we are still trading inside a range. So looking at gold, I would say we have quite a consolidation here. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, you will notice that this has been the support in gold. Currently, gold is testing a key level. So I'll show you this. So in this consolidation, you can see that gold has faced multiple times around this area, which has been acting as support. That's within the last 4 days. So quite a number of rejections there. And now we are looking at something similar this morning as gold continues in its consolidation. So perhaps some more volatility will be coming in after Jerome Powell's speech. But before that, I expect this kind of consolidation to continue, where the overall direction is not up or down. It's just a sideways momentum with a slight angle towards the lower side. So I expect the market to remain sideways within the range of last Friday. So we are still very close to all-time highs. So I wouldn't say it would be a surprise if gold made a run for a new all-time high. But then something needs to back the rally. So most probably I will be seeing a big movement after the speech by Jerome Powell. So oil is making a strong comeback here, attempting to bounce off these support levels. So last week was clearly a very strong bear market, but now we are seeing some form of volatility coming in. So Friday, oil bounced quite nicely. And then today, this morning, you can see the price action activity. So even after opening with a slight gap towards the lower side, the market covered the gap and is now pushing higher. So we could be seeing some further upside momentum from oil before we see a continuation of the overall trend, which is clearly a bear market. So from the 1 hour chart, this is how it looks like, as if the market retested this area here and is now moving back downwards. And then given what we are seeing here on a smaller time frame, seems more likely that the oil is making a slow push higher. So for US equity indices, they had quite a good rally before reversing towards the end of the week. So here, what we have is some form of consolidation. So I would say for the Nasdaq, we are waiting for some point of break, and that break may happen later in the week once we get some more volatility coming in. But for now, it seems more of a muted market. Nothing much is happening here. So we'll wait patiently for the breakout and then trade the breakout. I think it's a similar case for other equity indices. So even for the Dow Jones, you can see the market is just moving sideways. So I would say the overall trend is just sideways momentum, maybe a market waiting for some form of breakout. And even for the SP500, it's the same familiar pattern. So I would say the market is just following this kind of consolidation. Nothing much is happening here. So of course, this can be a very good basis for some nice setups coming up over the week. So for now, we remain patient and wait for the key breakouts. Perhaps they will be happening later in the week. For the Russell 2000 index, it has already broken out. So if you are watching this, then this is a clear breakout. So this market was just trading sideways, and what we are seeing right now is a break, which implies that we might be seeing more sell-side activity happening later in the day. So as for BTC, it's also pulling back. So we got the nice bounce last week, but now it seems more likely that the market is heading towards the lower side. So if you zoom out here, you'll notice that this has been the overall channel. And now that the market is retesting the lower side, so we should be observing the price action around this area here to see if there will be a clean break or whether the market will be bouncing from here. So as for the dollar index, we remain very close to 100. Last week, there were several attempts to trade below 100, with the lowest price being 99.831. So today, it seems more likely that the dollar index continues weakening. So even from the price action here, you can see after the market open, the dollar index has continued to push lower, which basically indicates a likely outcome that the Fed might comment positively about continuing to cut rates. And if that be the case, then we could be seeing a weaker dollar for the rest of the day. Of course, we all know how we trade a weak dollar. So in this case, weak dollar would mean that the pound eventually breaks out of this pattern. So from the 1 hour chart, if you zoom and you look at the highs we saw last week, then it's almost a horizontal here. And of course, if you look at the sequence of lows, then it seems more likely that we are trading in a triangle and the pound could potentially break. So for now, since we don't have much of a price action, it seems more likely that the pound USD will be testing the high that we saw here. And now the better trade would be if it actually happens to break above. So for Euro USD, this is what we are looking at. Market that is really struggling to complete or to break this resistance. So far for now, we are seeing this area of support emerging as a key contender for value areas. So now that the market is making another pace to retest what we see as the last high on Friday, then this could happen to have a breakout, and that could mean breaking from this trend line and forming new highs. So there is a good chance that the Euro USD could be breaking that resistance this week. So for other major pairs, you look at USD trading against the yen. Yes, there's a nice bounce from this support, which was our target some time back. So there was extreme volatility on JPY pairs on Friday. So perhaps some profit taking means bounce from this area. So we could be seeing more of upside activity despite the dollar being weak for the day. So for other major currencies, USD card, you can already see the bounce was pretty strong from last week. So this was the lowest price we had seen. Market managed to break below, but didn't last for long, and there was a strong bounce. So this week we could be seeing a continuation of the same. Yes, it's a slow rise. So try to remove this. So we can all see the slow progression for the last 3 days, and today seems quite a continuation of the same. So clearly we are seeing the dollar make some recovery against the Canadian dollar. And in this case, I would say if this has been the overall price action here, then the expectation is that the market continues in that direction. So we have some key levels here to observe. So some good chance that we'll be seeing 1.35372 on a USD card. So I'm looking at USD against the Swiss franc. This one we already covered. So a clear bounce from the lower trend line. So with an expectation that we retest the highest price that we saw on Friday. And now for the most bullish asset today, it seems to be New Zealand USD, which has maintained this strong momentum upwards and is currently testing some major resistance areas here. So if you notice, this was a major resistance area. And of course, we also have this area here. So of course, we expect to see some form of rejection. So for now, as the market enters that zone, of course, some profit taking. So perhaps we could be seeing the market pulling back for a while before making a continuation even higher. So I'm checking from the comment section to see if there's any questions as we approach the end. So morning, Anoniza Jack, J Squad, thank you for joining. So a good question from Brian. I'm a beginner. I need help in analyzing the market, daily losses, especially gold. Anyone who can help, please. So this is called the Market Snapshot series. We analyze the major currencies, we analyze gold and indices every day from Monday to Friday at exactly 11 a.m. So make sure that you join these sessions, and most likely you'll see some good analysis every day. So morning, someone using the name Stop Loss. Morning, Robert Kovale. Morning, John. And happy trading. So I can't see any other question. So I'd like to take this moment to thank you all. Thank you for your time. As we all know, Monday is usually a slow day. So we don't expect much of an activity in the markets. So we wait patiently until this evening when we get to see the speech by Jerome Powell. And then from there, hopefully, we'll be able to get some good trading ideas. So as for, I almost forgot this, European equity indices, we continue seeing some very strong momentum. So I would say over the last, 2 weeks, we have seen some good rally happening in Chinese equities, with the Hang Seng index rising about 20% in the last 2 weeks. And of course, today it has extended to around 24% before pulling back. So from the 1 hour chart, this is how it looks like. 15 minutes chart, this is how it looks like. So market had opened with a gap, closed the gap and then continued trading higher. So there is overall positive expectations on Chinese equities after the sequence of announcements that happened last week. So I expect to see some further upside on the Hang Seng 50 index. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.